everyone, and happy early Halloween. It's Steph, and today I have a ghost and cauldron to hold small candy. It's a great piece to leave on your desk and let people take candy from. I mean, who can resist a happy little face like that? So in this video, I'll be showing the creation process from the modeling and the printing to the painting and the decorating. The only thing I had to model was the ghost. I decided to modify a cauldron that I had made previously so I didn't have to start that from scratch. The kind of ghost I had in mind when designing it was more of a person under a sheet kind. The floating ghost with a more pointed tail would have looked cute, but I thought this ghost would look and print better. And previously I had planned on just making a ghost holding a tiny pumpkin, but the ghost with the cauldron seemed like a fun way to give out candy. For the printing I used Hatchbox PLA for both the ghost and the cauldron. I used white for the ghost and black for the cauldron. It took 1 hour and 25 minutes to print the ghost and 28 minutes to print the cauldron. For the ghost, some of the infill was visible through the outer layers. This is because the infill was printed before the outer layer, which is something that could be fixed by just changing the settings. Other than that, the prints looked decent, although there were a few blobs that needed to be sanded and a few strings to be melted by the heat gun. The prints are decent, but the ghost had a few bumps near the top, and the cauldron had a seam and a bunch of threads inside. I sanded the ghost to smooth the bumps, but I didn't want to sand it too much so I could keep the layer lines unique to 3D printed objects. For the cauldron, I couldn't sand it very much because the walls were thin and I didn't want to break it. I did use the heat gun to melt the threads inside the cauldron. I couldn't make it completely smooth, but I was planning on filling it with candy, so hopefully it'd be okay. The ghost and cauldron needed a base, so I decided to use a piece of wood instead of printing it so I could save filament and time. Somehow, the only piece that fit came from the packaging of a pink kamaboko, or fish cake, so it's a good thing I like hoarding random objects. I ended up using acrylic to turn the wood into a dark earth look, and tried to use random brushstrokes to make the ground slightly more realistic. I was planning on covering it, so it didn't need to be perfect, but I did my best anyway. The last object for the display was the sign. Originally I planned on making a normal brown sign, but then I realized that it needed a bit more color. So I cut some cardstock that would be attached to a small wooden dowel. As for the message, I was going to write "take" to let people know they could take the candy. For writing "take" looked boring, so I wrote "Happy Halloween!" Oh, and as a bit of advice, don't keep the hot glue gun so close like I did in the video. The painted piece of wood looked too simple, so I decided to add fake spiderweb for a bit of excitement. I like how the web spread nicely and also didn't require much to cover the wood. I was worried about the web coming off, so I used a bit of hot glue gun to secure it, but I'm not sure if that'll keep the top spiderweb from spreading in a different way. I considered using glue on the top that dries clear, but I thought that putting glue on the web would remove some of that light, fluffy look that it has. I still have extra spiderweb, so whatever happens, I can still fix anything that comes up. The final step was to paint a face on the ghost. I used pencil first to draft where I was going to put the smile. I was just planning on using permanent marker for the eyes, but it bled a little bit and also wasn't the full coverage I was expecting. So I used acrylic paint and that made it look so much better. And finally, the little ghost was glued alongside with the cauldron on that web-covered earth. This is the final product. It's an adorable ghost offering candy from a cauldron resting on a spiderweb covered ground. It's a bit small, but it's good for portion control since only a few candy can fit. The 3D print isn't perfect, but it's hard to see the extra bumps when the cauldron is filled with candy. And the sign could have been printed, but otherwise I'm happy with the results. This has been Steph, and thanks for watching! I hope you enjoyed watching the process of creating the ghost and the cauldron. And if you'd like to see more videos like it, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new. Also, check out my Instagram and Patreon. Thanks again and have a happy Halloween!